What's up, guys? Welcome to last week in the NFL, Week 12. It is our Week 12 recap. I've been talking about it for like 3 weeks now, but now we're officially through two-thirds of the year. Most teams are. This bye weeks and stuff. But with that, I have a little bit better of a record. I went 10-4 this past week. You went 9-5.
Yep,
I think I'm on a little hot streak for doing
you
better
are.
on
Yeah,
other picks. I think like 3 or 4 weeks. But we're still pretty close, and both of our records are pretty good. So. No
oh
really
yeah, no, I
complaints on
agree.
that.
I agree. I've been on a little skid here these last couple of weeks, so it's been nice to have a good week this past week.
Yeah, and actually, before we even get into it, we're obviously not in the regular studio today. We are Taylor's in Atlanta, and I am still in
Yep.
Columbus. So we're here through FaceTime. We'll be back next week in the studio like usual. But gotta do what you gotta do. This past week, we had only 3 games that were different. I went 2-1 on those games, getting the Bills over the Broncos correct, as well as 49ers over the Packers. And
Yep.
then you got the Seahawks over the Eagles. And honestly, those games they kind of went the way I expected them to. Like, I thought the Eagles had a good chance to win. I still kind of thought that the Seahawks would end up getting it done. And
All
then,
right.
same with, the 49ers we'll talk about them later, but the 49ers are
Yeah.
legit. And also they don't have a playoff spot locked up, but they're
They're
you know what
sitting
I mean?
pretty.
Yeah, they are sitting pretty. A couple other, let's see here, good games this week. Lions Redskins. What a weird game that was.
Yeah. That was
Dwayne
pretty
gets
much
his first
surprise.
win, but he didn't have good stats or anything, but he made the drive when it counted. So
Mm-hmm.
got to give that to him. But moving into our games that weren't expected, I said we were going to talk about it, and my first one is that it is Packers 8, 49ers 37, which, come on now. The 49ers are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I really can't believe that they came out and just blew the doors off the Packers like that.
Yeah, so the 49ers were obviously -3. They were, 3-point favorites. I took them on that -3, because I was feeling pretty good about them. But then it was just, I was feeling good about my bet by halftime. It was 23-0 at half.
Yeah.
They destroyed them. The 49ers, they didn't do anything special on offense. They didn't have 200 yards rushing like we've seen them do. Jimmy G
Mm-hmm.
was efficient, and he hit 2 long TDs. George Kittle's back, 6 for 130 and a touchdown, including a 61-yarder. And then, the 49ers defense did their thing as well. Aaron Rodgers had 104 yards passing on 20 of 33 passing. That is
Oh,
like barely over 5 yards of completion, which is just
yeah.
pitiful. Obviously, that's so bad.
That's completely uncharacteristic of them too.
Yeah, the Packers' longest play of the day was 15 yards. This game was just dominated by the 49ers.
Mm-hmm. Kind of moving on to my game here that we have. I picked the Bears and the Giants. Now, this game definitely went as I expected. I wasn't expecting the Bears to be this bad when we made our picks at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But it's just this Giants offensive line has just gotten worse and worse as the season's gone on. They can't pass protect for Daniel Jones anymore. I'm pretty sure they gave up a pretty costly strip sack in the red zone that resulted in an easy Bears touchdown. Saquon has come off his injury. I can't really tell if he's still, hurt or not, or just what the issue is because he was shut down yet again.
Yeah, his
Uh,
production's way down.
yeah, he had 60 rushing yards, but compared to him, that's still pretty bad.
Hmm.
Daniel Jones had 150 passing and 1 touchdown, which wasn't great, or 2 touchdowns, sorry, which obviously 150 is not great either.
No.
And he should have thrown at least 2 picks in this game if it weren't for the defensive backs dropping the balls. Um, it's just this Giants team needs a lot of help.
Yeah, and so you were just focusing on the offense, but they also let Mitch Trubisky have a
Yeah.
pretty good day. They did pick him off twice, but one of the
hmm
picks was in the end zone, so they had let him get down there. And
Yeah, this
then,
game could have been even more lopsided.
yeah, Mitch. When you have Mitch Trubisky playing good, you probably got to reevaluate your secondary.
Oh, for sure, and I'm sure I would hope they would.
Yeah,
After,
yeah. Giants obviously, this season's been lost, but now it seems like they've lost how many in a row? 5-ish, 6
at
maybe.
least, yeah, I can't
So
remember the last time we
they're
won.
they're moving towards maybe in the running for Chase Young now, which obviously
Oh
you would
yeah.
be very happy with.
Oh, I'd be I'd be thrilled with that. I think they're sitting at the second pick right now too, so it's a realistic shot right there.
Yeah. I mean, the Bengals probably got one locked up, but the Giants honestly could end up with two. And if the Bengals take a quarterback, obviously Chase Young would fall to you.
Yep, just fall right in
the
the
Giants don't want a quarterback, so that would be worst case scenario. But
for sure.
obviously the number 2 overall pick, you're gonna get someone good anyway.
Yeah.
But moving on to our games that didn't go as expected. I talked about this one a little bit at the beginning. We had Seahawks 17, Eagles 9. I said on the preview show, that the Eagles are a little more desperate. They're at home. I could see them getting a dub out here, but it just wasn't meant to be. The Eagles, I think they just kind of stink. I mean, I think that's I picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. So if I have to admit that they stink, you know what I mean? They've really killed me here. Like, the offense is just, obviously everyone complains about the weapons that Carson Wentz has and all that, but they just stink, and I don't think it's just the receivers. Like there's more to it than that. But this game was kind of lopsided. It was 17-3 with 20 seconds left when the Eagles scored this the last second touchdown. So you know what I mean? It's not like they looked like good and the Seahawks just edged one out on them. Like, the offense looked bad the whole game. And I mean, it's not like this Seahawks defense is like special. You know what I mean? They're pretty good.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
And Carson Wentz kind of saved his stats at the end of the game too, but he was not very good. He threw 2 picks. It was, I mean,
his accuracy can be questionable at times too.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, like you were saying, you can't really blame it all on the receivers, but they have a big part to doing it too.
It's obviously the receivers are a part, but I think people are being a little too. There's other problems with this offense. The offensive line has not been nearly as good, which I don't even understand because it's full of studs. You know, Brandon Brooks. What's the other? Lane Johnson. Yeah,
Jason Peters.
Yeah, it is. It's full of studs. And
Kelsey in the middle.
Yeah, it's so there's something wrong with the Eagles. They're not done yet because the Cowboys also kind of stink. But if they were in any other division in the NFC, they would be done. But it's gonna be hard to make the wild card in the NFC.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be so tough.
Yeah, the Rams, who you're about to talk about in a second, are they are 6-5 and they barely have a shot. So the Eagles, if they don't win their division, they're probably done. So obviously they got to turn it around before that Week 17 game in Dallas, but we'll see.
I mean, I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but I'd almost say that the Rams season might kind of be over now because the 2 wild card spots. I mean, it's the Seahawks that are 8-2 now. It's the Vikings that are 8-3, and like they're not even winning their own divisions right now. So, I don't really see a way that any team around 500 can sneak in at this point unless the other 2 teams just collapse. Yeah. But kind of moving into my game that didn't go as expected off that. Last night's game, the Ravens 45 and the Rams 6. This game just really, like when you were talking about maybe recording this last night, if it was a blowout, and I was like, there's no way. This Rams defense, they can do it, but I was just blown away. Lamar Jackson just continues to impress me. This Ravens defense is amazing. This is so good. I think the Rams only had 22 total rushing yards.
Oh my god!
And Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff. Oh. Yeah, I mean, Todd Gurley had all 22 of their rushing yards, and so Jared Goff struggled. I think he threw for 212 and 2 touchdowns, or not 2 touchdowns, no touchdowns and 2 picks. Yikes. Yeah, so he's still struggling. While, on the other end, you had Lamar throwing for 169, which obviously isn't a whole lot, but he covered it by running for 95 of those. Yeah. And then he threw for 5 touchdowns, too, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, they were moving down the field so effortlessly. I don't know if I've seen a team. I think they scored a touchdown on, their first 5 possessions or something like that. Ridiculous.
And then Mark Ingram came in there and ran for 111 on 15 carries and a touchdown. I mean, he was just bullying these defenders, running people over. There wasn't one person, that could just bring him down. I feel like it was always 2-3 guys jumping on his back.
And almost a crazier part of this is that I almost forgot that Aaron Donald was on the field.
I was literally just about to say that.
I watched, I would say probably 90% of this game, and Aaron Donald, I don't know if I saw him make an impact play. Obviously he had some tackles and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there was never a point where I was like, oh, there's Aaron Donald. You know what I mean? It just didn't happen. And I think Lamar was it because Lamar's too fast? Is it because he's never in the pocket? You know what I mean?
I feel like that could definitely be a factor because there's no defensive lineman that can keep up with that speed.
Yeah, no, they don't exist.
Yeah.
they're playing quarterback or running back if you have that kind of speed.
I mean, and all Lamar did too was just separate himself from any other candidate in the MVP running last night too. As good as Russell Wilson's been.
I believe Lamar has to go to San Francisco in a week or two. Either that or they have to come to him, and that game is going to be huge. You know what I mean? Because
for all we know, that could be a Super Bowl.
The Ravens haven't had a close game. Also, it'd be a rematch of the Super Bowl. Which I would hate, but because I already had to watch the Ravens win one Super Bowl. But like, Lamar hasn't struggled, and the Ravens haven't had a close game since they played the Steelers, and I believe it was Week 5. And that was obviously the OT game where Juju Smith-Schuster fumbles, the Ravens end up winning it. But and that's the game where Mason Rudolph also got knocked out. So that was Devlin Hodges was the quarterback. I have no clue how the Steelers pulled that out of their butts. But since then, the Ravens have been dominating people. So I cannot wait for that Ravens 49ers game.
Oh, it's going to be a great one.
And also, I feel like we talk about Lamar every week, but until he stops doing this, we have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's really hard not to.
Yeah, we really have
to. We've never seen before.
Yeah, completely agree. But moving on to our betting results, pretty rough week for us. We went 0-4 combined. I mean, yikes. And I mean, all right, I'll start with mine. I got like the two worst ways to lose your bets, where the Raiders come out and it's the end of the first quarter, and I'm like, oh god, this is over. Like they are just getting ran. You know what I mean? At least by halftime, I'm not expecting that bet to win. At least at least we've gotten out of it. But you never want to see a team that you get bet on blown out because then you're like, dang, I feel stupid. But then my other game, you have the Steelers -6.5, and that one is just a heartbreaking one that goes down to the last second. First and goal, Bengals 30-yard line. 2.5 minutes left. If the Steelers don't get a first down, if they run it 3 times, the Bengals force them to kick a field goal. They cover. Second down, Benny Snell around the edge, 12 yards, I lose. I was like, come on, man.
Bro.
So, 2 just painful losses this week for me.
I feel that. Kind of moving on to mine. Obviously I went 0-2 as well, which is kind of annoying because now my record's 12-12, so I'm even on the year.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about my record. I'm not even gonna say it out loud.
But I picked the Lions -3.5 against the Redskins on the road. I was thinking, hey, I mean, yeah, they did on a Matt Stafford, but they played pretty well against the Cowboys last week, and the Redskins got blown out by the Jets. So I was like, they're gonna get blown out again. Yeah. And of course that didn't happen. The Redskins played well enough to end up winning that game. So obviously I didn't cover. And then we had the Saints -9.5, and I was pretty confident about that one because they had come off a blowout the week before.
And the Panthers also got blown out.
Yeah. And I was like, there's no way, the Saints will be able to keep this rolling. And they started out blowing them.
No, they were covering for the majority of the first half.
Yeah. I was like, this is easy. I don't have to worry about this game anymore. I started focusing on my other games. I come back to it around third quarter, and I'm like, what happened? They just completely choked this game away and ended up winning by 3. Was it a last-second field goal? Pretty much.
I'm pretty sure as time expired.
Yeah, dude, come on. So that was a little frustrating, but not a good week.
Yeah, I had an awful week just betting in general, no matter what I bet on. So let's just move on to next week.
I don't want to talk about that one.
Yeah, that was very similar. Patriots-Cowboys spread was -5.5. They have -4 with a minute and a half left. You think, they might have to kick the field goal. They threw it out of bounds on 4th and goal, or on 4th down, just to waste the last 5 seconds instead of kicking it.
Yeah. Bro, come on.
Couldn't there be 15 more seconds on the clock so they had to kick it? Come on, man. So, yeah, bad week for us betting. We'll be back next week. But moving on to our For You Losers, I have a guy that, this is not a household name. A lot of people might not even know who he is, but it's Anthony Gordon, the quarterback at Washington State University. Little fun fact for you. He's a redshirt senior. Before this year, he had thrown 5 passes for 17 yards and a pick. Those were his career stats. This year now, 11 games in, he's thrown 585 times for nearly 5K yards, 45 TDs, and 14 picks.
Oh my gosh.
So he's been obviously also 53 attempts per game. That's how you get to 585. Yeah,
Whoa,
53 a game.
All right.
Yeah, in the game that I picked him for, they beat Oregon State 54-53, and he went 50 of 70 for 606 yards, 6 touchdowns.
Attempts? Dude.
Yeah, and then 3 picks. So
How many times did they run the ball?
obviously the 3 picks are not ideal here, but when you throw 585 times and you only have 14 on the year, I'll give you a pass.
Yeah, dude, that's ridiculous. Because, I mean, wasn't Gardner doing the same thing up there with Mike Leach last year, too?
Yes, yeah. So, and that's kind of why I decided to choose Gordon and talk about him, is because with the success of Gardner initially in the NFL, obviously the last couple games were not very good. But with the initial success of Gardner, you might have a team that looks at Gordon now and is like, hey, this guy in the 5th round, he could end up being as good as Gardner. They have similar stats, similar things. So, that's interesting. It's really interesting that I think he was he transferred around to a couple schools, maybe played in some JUCO or something. So, I mean, he's having a great year though. So I felt like I should shout him out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Isn't he one of the passing leaders right now too?
I believe he's the passing leader.
The passing leader, yeah.
He's definitely up there.
Moving on to my guy. I don't know if you guys know him. His name's Chase Young, defensive end out of Ohio State. Had a huge game in his first game back out of his 2-game suspension. 5 solo tackles. I think 4 were in the backfield. 3 sacks and then 2 forced fumbles in their win against Penn State. I think it was 28-7 was the score, or 17. Sorry, 2017. Yeah. I mean, he really just looked unblockable yet again. Most of the time, I was at the game myself. Most of the time I saw him out there, he's getting double teamed, whether that's with a tackle and a running back or the guard and the tackle come over and double team him. He just always commands a double team. If you put him one-on-one, you're pretty much asking for something bad to happen at this point. Mm-hmm. I really don't see anybody that can block him one-on-one in the country. No. I agree that he is one of the best players in the country and should be in the Heisman running. Should be invited to New York with, my personal bias. But, he came into this season, broke the Ohio State single-season sack record. He's sitting at 16.5 right now. That's with the 2 games he missed, and then you also have to include he's going to play Michigan, he's going to play in the Big Ten Championship, and then he's either going to go to the College Football Playoff or a bowl game. So he's going to obliterate this record.
Yeah.
And maybe even take the NCAA record. I think it's 20, 22-ish, somewhere around there.
I think it's a little higher, but
you think it's a little higher?
Something like that.
But anyways, I think he could possibly get that done. I think he's a generational pass rusher. And for somebody like we were talking about earlier with the Giants having the 2nd pick now, I would love to make that happen. Yeah. It's been so annoying just seeing quarterbacks like Mitch Trubisky and all these other guys just have all day to throw the ball. So I think that it would help with because the Giants drafted a bunch of young secondary guys last year. So if they're able to, draft a good pass, that would help them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this kid's just a freak, as we all know already. I'll be really excited to see what he does the next couple weeks.
No, yeah. So, I mean, it's crazy to me to think that if that 2-game suspension didn't happen, how many sacks he would have. Because
arguably, like Rutgers too.
Yeah, arguably he missed the 2 easiest games on the schedule. Besides maybe UC, or I don't know who would win between
Florida
UC
A&M
and Maryland, or Florida A&M. But I mean, UC's pretty good, but they almost lose to everyone. But if he plays those 2 games, he very well could leave those 2 games with 6 sacks. You know what I mean? Yeah. And at that point, he'd be very close to the record. So it kind of stinks that we got robbed of that. But we get to watch him for 3 more games. The competition's only going to get better, so I can't wait to see it. Ohio State, Michigan, can't wait, obviously.
Oh yeah, that'll be
it's gonna be fantastic. But with that, guys, that is our what is this, Week 12 recap?
Yeah.
We're not in the studio. Got me a little thrown off, but we will be back hopefully next week. Our preview for Week 13 and all that will obviously be like this, just because Thanksgiving and such, but. We will see you guys then.
Yep.